All right, so welcome to another one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, to the body. So let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. Great night of boxing, man. A nice Mexican theme, right? The long waited bout between Zurdo Ramirez versus the challenger and now the champion at cruiser with two straps, David Benavidez. Great fight. We'll get to that in a bit. Also, interesting fight between Oscar Duarte, and Teixeira Fierro. And of course, the co-main, we had Jaime Munguia versus Armando Resendiz. Really, really good fights. I think I woke up around like 4:30 my time. I had bought the pay-per-view initially. Pretty cheap too for me, it's like $24. But I had started watching it with the Sanchez versus Chavez fight, which was good too. So I was like all tired. I was getting up. And you know, the funny thing is, I was so hyped up for this with this card, this event, in that I didn't even need coffee, man. Believe it or not, I crashed at about like 11:30, and I was good to go. I was good to go. So first and foremost, I didn't do any predictions like actual videos. I think only for Zurdo and Benavidez. Actually, I think I did. I think I had picked Munguia by decision over Resendiz. Go check out the video previous if I did say that. And then Duarte for Fierro. I think maybe I had predicted Duarte by stoppage or may have been decision. But either way, I had picked Oscar Duarte. And then as far as Zurdo and David Benavidez, I had it like 55-45, something like that for Zurdo Ramirez. And we'll get to that in a bit. So where do we start, man? Oscar Duarte versus Teixeira Fierro. Now, there's some ups and downs about this, okay? Because you guys heard on the broadcast, I think it was like Abder Mares and what's the other guy's name? I think Ronaldo or some other cats. I forgot who. I didn't really pay attention. It may have been even Goostin was on there. But anyways, at times they had focused on the on Teixeira Fierro missing weight, right? That supposedly, well, I wouldn't say supposedly, he was over 4 pounds on the weigh-in. And I'm just gonna say this. Guys. And a lot of fans believe this too. If you can make the weight cut, most of us, and this is kind of like a redundant thing that we say, but if you can make the weight cut, then it's fine, right? The show must go on, let the fight go, all right? But I'll say for me, it's not so much cheating in the aspect of how much the fighter rehydrates, because I think a lot of fans, they get confused. Not so much the boxers, when the boxers are asked about their opinions, because they know the weight cut. Right? They know the whole protocol to cut weight, and a lot of times they're reserved. They rather not disclose the secrets of the game, right? So it's not so much how much they rehydrate, all right, on fight night. It's about if they can make the weight cut, because the hardest part is to actually do the weight cut and maintain that consistently on fight week, all right? And we'll go into more into detail about that. But again, guys, like, here's a coincidentally, and I've seen this many times before, where I've criticized David Benavidez when he lost his second belt against Romer Angulo, okay? Colombian or some Dominican cat, I forgot. But David had missed weight in that fight too, just like Teixeira Fierro, okay? He was over like 3 pounds. All right, and so it was during the time of COVID, and fans like to harp on that, or they take Benavidez's team's benefit of doubt that it was hard. Okay, but we all know during COVID, a lot of fighters still had to make that weight cut for their weight class. So that can't be an excuse, guys. It's nice to make that excuse, right? To try and maybe, I wouldn't say so much trick the fans, but if they buy it, they buy it. All right? But where am I getting at even more into detail is that Zurdo Ramirez, believe it or not, he also fought Romer Angulo. So they all fought at 168, or the original contracted weight of 168. If you guys going back, look at Zurdo Ramirez versus Romer Angulo for 168. They made the weight. I think they were like 167 and a half a piece, okay? But when David fought Romer Angulo, and again, guys, They went the full. I want to say 9 yards. They went the full rounds in those fights. I think it was like 10 and 10 apiece, if I'm not mistaken. Right during COVID, they were 10 rounders. I don't know about Zurdo if it was a 12 rounder with Angulo, but they went the distance, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so guys, keep that in mind. Okay, 168 guys, Ramirez and Benavidez, who now have the experience fighting at cruiser. And if you look at the physiques neck to neck, they're about pretty much the same. I mean, Zurdo's a little bit bigger. He's more heftier, of course, and he's been at cruiserweight longer, so he's more hefty, acclimated there, right? But if you go back and look at the tapes, man, Zurdo Ramirez was also very thin at 168, just like when David was at 168. So what's the point, guys? What's the point? Because a lot of fans, they like to criticize Mayweather or Shakur Stevenson for not taking risk to conserve that O, right? Conserve that marketing O that they can sell for bigger fights. And by the way, that's cool, man. Whatever. Each to their own. That's the business side of boxing, right? But that same criticism that they attack Mayweather or Shakur Stevenson, you got to apply that to when David Benavidez, when he couldn't make weight for Romer Angulo. All right? Now let me go more into detail about this and why it's so hard. Because this is all tying back to the Duarte and Fierro outcome, or what they were talking about on the cast. And hopefully fans can even educate themselves with this knowledge, all right? How hard it is to make the weight cut, okay? You guys remember Triple G versus Kell Brook. The dude, he had such a hard time making that weight cut, and that's how we saw kind of like the sluggish early rounds. Triple G looked like greenage, man. Triple G looked nasty at the UK weigh-in against Kell Brook, all right? But anyways, drastic weight cuts. He may have been sick as well. But going back to Romer Angulo and Benavidez and Zurdo, out of all those guys named, only Zurdo and Romer Angulo made the weight for 168. All right? So when you got guys like Janibek and some other cats, right, fainting at their weigh-ins, maybe even Virgil Ortiz, they said it was some sort of muscle dystrophy, atrophy syndrome. I think it's more of the weight cut, but they don't want to really disclose that stuff because, again, guys, those are trade secrets in the game. You don't want to dive too much into how you cut the weight and the ironic dangers of cutting weight. It's dangerous, guys. It's dangerous. I mean, and you're going into a fight the next day. Okay, I think Margaret Goodman even exercised that or emphasized on that many years ago about that because she was really brewed into it and she was like focusing on that aspect more so than the side of VADA testing, just to put a nice clarity of comparison of how hard it is to cut weight, guys, and how hard it is to cut weight for guys that are big, man, guys that are massive. Okay, so I think, in my opinion, whatever, if it was a time of COVID, if David Benavidez had tried to make 168 with Romer Angulo, we might have seen a whole different outcome. He might have been hospitalized. The fight was canceled, just like Janibek. Or he would have looked sluggish. All right? But where are we getting at? Let me rewind it. Where are we getting at? Guys, 3 pounds, man. 3-4 pounds. That's what Toshiro Fierro did with Duarte. And, props to Duarte for even acknowledging that. He was like saying, yo. And by the way, guys, I had that fight a draw, regardless of the dramas right now about the weigh and stuff. But I had that a draw. And believe it or not, I actually like Fierro's performance. But again, guys, you see the irony here. I'm liking the performance of Toshiro Fierro, but in a way, he technically cheated because he didn't do the weight cut like Duarte. I don't care about how much, who rehydrated to what. It's not about that. It's about signing the contracts. All right, maybe you're going to forfeit out of your purse, but technically, that's cheating, guys. Okay? Even for guys that think like even when Canelo fought Alfredo Angulo, or even like fights back with like, who would have been, like, was it Ryan Rhodes maybe? They've all been held accountable for the same type of drama, guys. All right? It impairs you, man. If you have a hard time making weight and you're a big guy, it's going to impair you on fight night. Trust me. This is for practitioners that know. If you're grinding all the time, when you don't eat a certain way, one little tad bit, if you didn't drink enough water the previous day or beforehand, it's going to affect your performance. So That's a microscopic point of view of, imagine when you're trying to cut 15 pounds of water on fight week, or 25 pounds of water like Zurdo and Benavidez when they were trying to make 168, right? So again, guys, in my opinion, had Benavidez fought Roman Angulo at 168, hey, it's possible Benavidez could have lost that. Oh, it could have been a draw. It could have been catastrophic. It could have been a situation where they said, you know what, David, damn, you know what, you got to fight at 175 now because we can't bail you out this time. And believe it or not, that's what happened with the WBC back then. The WBC knew how hard it was, right, through the underground routes. They knew how hard it was, and who knows if Samson or the PBC had told Suleiman about it, but Suleiman did a favor to David to already rank him at 175 in that year, man. He was like right behind Artur Beterbiev. So guys, 175 back then, you're seeing how big David is and Zurdo at cruiser, right? You see how big Callum Smith was. These are big guys, man. Real big guys. So anyways, going back to Tashiro Fierro and Oscar Duarte, I side with Duarte when he emphasized, yo, homeboy didn't cut the weight like I did. So I think it's fair how the judges, reevaluated their scoring, right? Because regardless of the technical CompuBox that they have to monitor in real time, and that makes them awkward for their professional scoring, they're still taking account of perhaps of what Oscar was telling them behind the scenes, yo, because of this, you got to do this, and maybe rightfully so. So I think I had it a draw, but I'm glad with the result. Tashiro, next time, yo, shape up, man. So now we're going to get maybe Lindolfo Delgado, right? Against Oscar Duarte. That's going to be a good fight too. And whatever, we'll move on. It wasn't the best performance by Duarte, but again, the trade-offs, right? One guy didn't cut those extra 3 or 4 pounds, and we saw what we got. All right, but good movement. I like Fierro's movement, man. Really elusive guy. Kind of like with Isaac Cruz, right? In his last performance against who did he fight in last performance? That was good. Damn, I forgot, man. But some good movement from Pitbull Cruz. All right, guys. So let's move on. So Lindolfo Delgado and Duarte in the future. Newly crowned champ Jaime Munguia, right? Became a champion at 154 when he smoked Saram Ali. Again, guys, these guys are draining mad weight to make 154. Munguia is a big-ass dude. He's a big guy, all right? So as the guys move up in ranks, you can see, things they got to hit the brake on who they're going to fight next. And we saw mishaps with the fight with Canelo, and then we saw the fight with Bruno Soraji. By the way, I would have always loved to have seen the fight between Munguia and Beck the Bully. That's a banger, guys. That's a hard fight for Jaime Munguia too. Who do I favor, man? To be honest, I'd probably favor Munguia split decision now that he's more active anyways. But that's still a hard-ass fight for Munguia, man, because Beck the Bully, he's a mean body puncher, man. He's a mean, and he's husky as hell. So anyways, Armando Resendiz, good fight he had against Caleb Plant. But guys, it may be, if we come to an agreement here, that I think Plant, he was just too much. He was too worn-torn in the fights between Canelo and, of course, with David Benavidez. He took a lot of damage from David, and perhaps that's what affected him. I think he even got stunned a couple times with Macumbi, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that guy Macumbi. But they do some wear and tear against a guy like Armando Resendiz, who's very tough. He's a lot better at 168 than at his performance at 160. We know he got smoked by that other guy, Elijah Garcia. And to me, Elijah Garcia, the way he fights, his offensive combination aggression, that's why I had picked Munguia to beat Resendiz. They have that kind of similar style. But Munguia in this fight had really good. I really like his inside defense, man. He has really good ducking and bobbing and weaving, and really good crouching athletic ability. Munguia, when he goes on the inside. Not so much on rope-a-dope. I do like his rope-a-dope moves, and how he can bait a guy like Resendiz or whoever. So as far as defense, I think Munguia, as a fan of Munguia, and even fans for Munguia, I think Munguia's defense is going to evolve even better. So that's a good thing. He can lure guys to the ropes. He's got good bounce movement, kind of like that rhythm between Pacquiao and Bivol. And then when Munguia when he does commit to combination offensive onslaughts, he's really good and fast, man. That dude can punch hard, and I really like his left hook to the body. Munguia has a nice left hook to the body, really, really good, and long range too. That's one thing I like about Munguia's style, is that he's a fighter that can do combinations both left and right, both power on both hands, but he over lunges on combinations, and I like that because it's not for everybody, you know. With me, I like to be tight, you know. I like to tighten up. I like to square up and retract my punches, and that loosens. What I shouldn't say loosens. It's the opposite of loosens. Munguia's loose when he's over lunging, but you can see how his gloves they overflap, man. I like it. So I gave maybe Resendiz 2 rounds in this fight, at most, maybe 3 rounds, I don't know. But Munguia had full control of the fight. Some fans were booing. I think it was a couple rounds, one round in particular, where Munguia was too much on his bicycle, and I think he was just trying to get a feel out of what Resendiz could do in that style. And Munguia, he downloaded the data from the crowd, and he went a different route. But anyways, a really good banger. And so who does Munguia fight next? Would he fight Canelo again? Assuming Canelo would have beat Mbili at 168. For that, I don't think they're going to fight each other. It's just they've done that. They're boys. They're all Reynoso camp. That was the other guy. Iglesias is another champion, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment. Help me out, guys. I think I've got 3 belts right now. I'm missing one. All right. I don't even know who's a WBC champ. Is that... What's his name? I think it was supposed to be... I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if it's Iglesias, but Hamza Shiraz versus... Who's he fighting next, man? You guys help me out. Who's Hamza fighting next? Is it Pacheco? I don't know, man. I don't know. But we still need 4 belts, and we're talking about unification between Jaime Munguia. Who do you want him to fight next? You want Munguia to do like a stay busy fight for September? I think it's a good idea. He fights on the Canelo card in September. Do you want it to be a unification? Is he ready for unification? Why not? I think so. Why not, man? Just go all out. Now's the time. And I think Munguia can brush it up on his well, not brush up. He don't need to brush up. His defense is gonna evolve even better than what we saw last night. All right. And as far as Resendiz, I don't know. Maybe Resendiz versus Jermall Charlo. I don't know. I don't really know the PBC roster and how they're rotating, guys. By the way, I got to do a video on Nakatani and Inoue aftermath. Remind me, guys. I got to do a video on that one. Wasn't too impressed. Yeah, it was all right, but I wasn't really impressed in that fight. And that leaves room on debate on Bam Rodriguez. Yo, Bam, you got to go right now. You got to go for those guys. Call them out. Do or die now. You're ready for 122. Don't worry about 118. That's my personal opinion. After seeing the performances of Inoue and Nakatani. If anything, how about Bam versus Nakatani? Make it at 120 catch or 122. But yo, Bam, now's the time, man. Don't waste time. And speaking of like that class, I know Brandon Figueroa. I know he's at 126, but I would like to see him against one of those 2 Japanese guys. Maybe I have a little bias there. But anyways, let's go to the main event, guys. The main event. And let's do a couple of disclaimers here about the whole theme of the Mexican Monster. I've been hyping this fight for more than a year, saying that this is a fight, it's good for boxing. I do have biased preference, I'm sorry. Don't mistake me for the universal crowd, but of course I'm down for a whole Mexican theme and card. And who was going to be the victor of the crown? Who was worthy to be called the Mexican Monster? And look at how the cards fold, guys. We got Mike Tyson walking out David. That's some good consistency, right? For the end result. We had Ryan Garcia, but I don't know how much value we need of Ryan Garcia for David. But Mike Tyson and David, I like that. It's a nice memory for David and his family to remember in the years on out, and perhaps even for Tyson too. But I like what Tyson said, that he felt like a little boy again. He was in the moment, and Mike Tyson's always supportive of the game. He's always been supportive throughout the whole dynamic and diaspora, hard and good times of boxing. So that's a good one for Iron Mike, right? So Iron Mike walks him out, and they had it right. They had it right. Zurdo is the champion coming in last. But here's what I didn't like, guys. Here's what I didn't like. And let me put some key points. And again, let me refresh it. If I had a prediction before, I think I had Zurdo 55-45 over David Benavidez. All right? And one thing I credit David so much in this fight is that he didn't really dedicate much body punching. And why? Because when you're dedicated to doing body punching, right? Power punching in the mid-torso, it's going to drain your battery more. And against a guy like Zurdo Ramirez, that's not what you want to do. Because for me personally, I don't think Zurdo Ramirez was affected at all with body punching. I wasn't even concerned about Zurdo in this fight to take body punches. We can see the physiques. They're just as wide, but Zurdo's a little bit heftier. I think Zurdo was about maybe 5 or 10 pounds heavier than Benavidez on fight night overall, you know? And again, the speed advantage, because of that, you get the speed advantage with David Benavidez. And what David did well was focus on head hunting combinations, all right? David is dangerous with his left hook. He's dangerous with combinations anyways because the judges are going to like that. They're going to favor that, those instances, those spurts, right? And I'm more than sure, I forgot which round it was, but I think David did clip Zurdo hard with a mean left hook, and boom, that's how his eye got, you know, it got busted up, you know. And from there, when it gets swollen, that's an advantage to David, and David could see that. So you're gonna dedicate to go for that eye area. That's the same kind of outcome with Erislandy Lara, where Erislandy Lara was headhunting, sharpshooting for Alfredo Angulo's hematoma. You keep punching that, man, it's dangerous. You can go blind on that eye too. You know, instance like Margarito versus Pacquiao. I mean, that really long-lasting, permanent effects, right? I think he's got like a glass eye or so, I don't know, something like that, man. But after that fight, Margarito's eye was never the same. And that's what we had with this fight, okay? The only difference, though, is between all these fights that I mentioned is that Zurdo and David are more so the same size, right? More or less, all right? So David did a good fight, a good strategic fight. I do agree with Zurdo's corner is that, you know, he was, in my opinion, I think David was too respectful. Zurdo was too respectful to David in the first 2 rounds. You can't do that, man. You can't start off slow. When you're at close quarters, at least bait. See what David, if he's still that David in sparring, smash his arms, man. They were such a close range. I was like, yo, Zurdo, what are you doing? You know, same thing with David too, but I give, because David's the challenger. And in David's mind, he's got to go the full 12 rounds, so he's not going to want to gas out, right? So it's Zurdo's responsibility to do more hurt on David, and he did have success, especially like the 4th round where I did see Zurdo did hurt David, and David was like, damn, he took him to the ropes. You could see David's face. He started to open his mouth. He was like more gasping. I don't know if so much if it was the firepower. I think it was the firepower that he was receiving more so than being gassed out. So we do know that Zurdo can hurt David if he's more, I don't know, man, yo, maybe he needs a different coach, believe it or not. You know, bad game plan, guys, bad game plan. But you got to listen to your coach. I mean, use your jab too. I mean, you did a good point. You got to use the jab. You've got long reach. Use that, man. You know, let your eye. Oh, it's not going to heal as the rounds progress. It's going to keep, you know, getting swollen. So, hey, what can you do? What can you do? You got to be more defensively sound. You got to have your guard up at all times, or at the very least, do your pivoting out, man. Evade. Do your pivoting out against David, because David did a good job. Again, his upper torso is lighter than Zurdo. He's got more speed, so that's what did the hurt on Zurdo. Zurdo's speed, unfortunately, can't match David Benavidez. And so, what does that mean, guys? What does that mean? Now, David on his part, and aside from everything I said earlier in the video about previous circumstances, right? David and Zurdo both came from 168. It was good that they met at these crossroads. But guys, you must understand that David, since the get-go, And even stories that he's always been bigger than 220 pounds in previous pro debuts before he became a pro. That being said, I think David is also a late bloomer. Maybe there's some drama in his previous life that he didn't want to go as fast as Zurdo did, right? Because remember, boxing is a notoriety game, guys. It's a notoriety game. And that's same thing goes to Jai Pataya. Yo, Jai, you could have been at the event, man. You should have been at the event. I don't know why. Is it because maybe Zuffa Boxing don't allow it? Dana White, they told you to not go. Don't give shine to the DAZN or PBC network. Whatever. If that's the case, that's unfortunate, man. You should have made a presence. You should have been there to say, yo, I'm the ring belt champion. Both of you's ducked me. You got to meet me. Like, that's the minimum you could do, Jai. And you got the money now. You could have gone to the event. So I don't know what's up with that. Same thing goes for David Benavidez. Because I don't know if David or Zurdo, if they've been to Jai's fights, right? And so where does that go now, guys? That's why right now, ever since Zuffa Boxing got into the game, and I don't want to sound like a hater, I don't really care much about the Ali Act fiasco because I'm all in and I'm all out. Or how would I say? I can be hypocritical at times because I'm going to support boxing no matter what. Hey, boxing's not perfect. I'm going to support it no matter what. I'm going to support Jai's move. I'm going to support David's move. I just want to see more fights, right? Don't want to see David back at 175 now that he's proven to be at cruiser? Maybe. If fans gave Mayweather the benefit of to do it, he can do it, right? I don't know else who's. I mean, there's too many examples of guys doing this. You know, they said the same thing with Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones when he went back to 175. That's the reason he lost because he should have stayed above cruiser or heavyweight, right? After beating John Ruiz. Trust me, guys, that's a narrative that's been going on for more than 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken. Literally, that's what they say. Oh, it's about to go back down to weight. Okay, so guys. If that's what you truly believe, take that in consideration if David goes back down to 175. Don't flip-flop. Do you want David to stay now at cruiser and call out Jai Pataya? Because I didn't hear David call out Jai Pataya or McKillian for the WBC belt. We didn't hear that. And I think that's by design. Again, guys, that's what I hate about the game, is that's what we talk about in debates and in dramas and gossip. I don't care about the gossip, man. We just we hope for the better fights to be made. And it's an redundant, ongoing story and drama narrative between fan talk, guys. Sometimes we're for new moves and then we go against the moves because then we forget, damn, you know what? We can't make the fights then, right? It's the same thing with like Virgil Ortiz. I said, yo, guys, hold the brakes because right now Virgil Ortiz got some legal issues. He can't even be the Virgil that we know he can be. I want to see Virgil versus Fundora. That's the fight I want to see more than the boots thing. I don't let all the politics and the promoters they gravitate to the how would you say? They clout chase on what fans can be suckered into, right? Knowing that these fights can't be made because of politics. So I'm like, you know what? I ain't even going to be drawn into that. I'm not going to be suckered into that, But anyways, back to David. Do you guys want to see David unify for the WBC belt? Again, guys, David could have fought Badu Jack or McKillian long ago. Or I should say, the WBC Cruiser Champion in Badu Jack. He was automatically elevated at 175. He could have easily asked Suleiman, yo, I want Badu Jack next. They would have done that, no problem. You guys cry about, the WBC is all about money. WBC is biased to Mexican fighters. Well, of course, they would have, if you want to go that route, they would have easily given David the fight with Badu Jack. And I would have said that Badu Jack, I've been saying it for the longest, you guys know me, that Badu Jack was the oldest and the weakest champion at cruiserweight. That would have been an easier fight for David Benavidez. And guess what? More money for them all, because it would have been David Benavidez unifying the titles with Zurdo Ramirez, and then the last guy standing is Jai Pataya for undisputed. We already talked about that was the original plan. And now what? Now David said he wants to go back to 175 for Bivol or Benavidez, and unfortunately, he's still calling out Canelo. I mean, what is he going to fight Canelo at 168? Right? Guys, we can't be hypocrites here. We have to assess the physical body weights. I mean, I'm down. Hey, I'm down for it. Maybe I'll do a video for that. Canelo versus Benavidez. Because if Benavidez really wants that fight, and let's say Canelo says, okay, you know what? Then we're going to do it at 168 after I beat Membili and I got the belt. Come and get the belt again if you want. You can call me out. So you're going to get a side of fans that say, you know what? Canelo made David do this. In the meantime, David is still calling out Canelo. Like, well, what is it, guys? We can't have it both ways or whatever. We can have it all ways. I don't care, man. But if we could still make that fight, I'm curious to see if David could still make 168. I think he can. By the way, because of his youth. But will that affect his performance? Who cares? If you guys are cool, if you guys are crying, Fierro was robbed against Duarte, he was robbed. Okay, then don't complain about a 168 bout between Canelo and Benavidez or whoever else, Canelo versus a bigger guy coming down in weight, right? You guys got to keep it transparent, man. You guys got to keep it transparent. So anyways, I want to see, and who's Bivol going to fight next, man? I'm not even on that radar. What's up with Benavidez? But to close the show right now, it was good for the Mexican boxing fans. Benavidez and Zurdo did their part. Everybody did their part on the card. Munguia, Duarte, Fierro, Resendiz, thank you all for showing up for this fight and giving the fans a good fight, man. That was a really good, worthy pay-per-view. And again, guys, if the metrics are really good for the zone, and again, guys, opportunities. David said, thank you for the opportunity. And we've seen this theme over and over and over, guys, that when fighters give the other guys an opportunity, usually they do a rematch, okay? In my opinion, I think it's good for boxing. Given the way this fight went, I'd probably pick now Benavidez to beat Zurdo again, but it might go 12 rounds. Maybe some adjustments for sure that Zurdo can do. Maybe some new coaching. I don't know. But they can make the adjustments. I'm more than sure they can. And maybe it could be a better fight. Right? Who knows? I mean, we've seen this story over and over and over and over again. All right? Same thing. They wanted to promote some marketing tactics with De La Hoya versus Chavez, right, on the DAZN replays. And they're trying to build Zurdo versus Benavidez. Okay, but that's why we had De La Hoya and Chavez, right? In the first fight, some might say, why do we need the rematch? Why did we need it, right? Two Mexican guerreros, two warriors. Well, then give us Benavidez and Zurdo again. If you guys aren't satisfied with Benavidez' next fight, or, that's all that was given to me, that's all that we could do, blah, blah, well, then let's get the Zurdo fight again. Why not? The fans win. They win. I guess the promoters win. And again, guys, we don't know the war between Zuffa and Golden Boy here forward. Are we going to get unification between Opataya and Benavidez? How do you even see that fight? That's another thing. I'll let my boy Carl from Zuffa, check out the Zuffaru boxing channel if I got that right. Sorry if I don't got it right. But check out his stuff. He talks about it too. We're down for it. But Carl, you know this. It's going to be hard to make this fight here forward. But that's what we need, right? Yeah, let's get the Mexican monster versus the Samoan monster. Let's make that. That's a good... I'm going to be the first one to coin that. The Samoan monster versus the Mexican monster. That's the next biggest fight in boxing, in cruiserweight, if anything, or in the realm of heavyweight. I told Carl, I want to see Opataya just go up to heavyweight, right? Because if we're going to get all these closed out fights, if we can't get the fights that we want, then Opataya go elsewhere. And I guess David's going to go downward. And I guess what's up with cruiserweight, right? Maybe Zurdo becomes champion. I don't know. It's a little nauseating and confusing, but for those of you that get it, you get it. So anyways, I'll do another one. I'm going to probably do Inoue versus Nakatani next, if I'm down for that. But anyways, catch me on the next one for Al Cuerpo Boxing to the Body. And peace out. I'll catch you on the next one.